Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Sunandini and I'm an entrepreneur who has been associated with Inside IIM since 2022. This webinar is about how a no brand background and missed opportunities in the initial stage of your career cannot stop you from reaching the top. Today, we are very happy to have Mr. Jayesh Bhatia, who started his career in tech support role and is currently working at the founder's office at Ditto in strategy. Ditto by Finshots, if you know. He started working his straight after 12th grade, broke all the norms, and he completed his bachelor's degree when he was 34. This tells you that there is absolutely no right age to upskill yourself. You know, we always inspire to reach the top, but by the time we understand what we want, you have already screwed up something or the other in your past. And think that we can't go there because we didn't go into some IIT or IIM and didn't get 90 percentage in 12th. That is why we need people like Jayesh who could prove us wrong and our whole norm and our mentality, and that brand is not everything and it is not the thing that drives you. So what does? We will know in this webinar. If you have any questions during the webinar, just put it across on the live chat and we'll take it up during the Q&A. So really great to have you here, Jayesh, and to learn from your experiences.
Hey, thank you so much, Sunandini. Thank you also to all the audience for taking the time out and being with us here today. Hoping to bust some myths, like you said.
Great. So maybe we can start with this, your journey. So as we all heard that you had a rough patch during your initial or the start of your career, can you let us know what your situation was and why did you make some choices after your 12th grade?
Sure. So, when I was in school at about the time when I was in 10th, I learned that as a family we were not doing very well financially. We were 7 people living in a small house in Mumbai, and I was the youngest in the family. 3 of us were earning, my parents and my grandfather, but yet we were severely indebted and we had no savings. I was not fully aware of the extent of the problem until I finished my 12th, or until the time I reached 12th standard. But I had started getting a drift of the problem from 10th standard onwards. So by the time I finished my 12th, it was very clear to me that this problem is now unsustainable, and I must do something to contribute, financially to my family. That's when I decided to take up a job and try to finish my education while working.
Okay, so you just completed your 12th and you started your job, right?
Yes, 3 days after my last exam.
Okay, and your only ambition was that to support your family and just get those resources at that point of time.
That was the only goal. That was the only thing on my mind that time. Yes.
Okay, and what was the thing that you started with? Some sales work you told me about this?
Yes. So, the 12th pass out, we didn't have much resources, didn't have much knowledge either of where to look, what to do. I spoke to friends and family, and I had a relative who used to work for this company called Reynolds that makes pens. He was the regional sales head, and he referred me to one of the distributors in Mumbai, and that guy was willing to hire me, so I took it. There was really no choice of, I want this, I want that. I just took whatever I could get. So my job was to sell pens to retail outlets in northern Mumbai area, from Dahisar to Andheri, if you know Bombay. So that was my first job. First salary was 1,800 per month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I started the job, and I also signed up for a distance learning BCA. I had classes on the weekends, and during the week I would work. I also signed up with a computer training institute, hoping they will help me with the technical aspects of the BCA. So in the mornings I would attend the classes, computer classes. I would go work in the day, and weekends I would go and do the BCA lectures. That's how the career started.
Sounds very busy.
Yeah, it was.
Then after that, maybe your first career, your corporate job, as you said. What was your first corporate job?
So the first corporate job was with IBM,
Hmm.
their BPO division.
Okay.
This was in 2004, and again, somebody told my mother that there's this big American company that's hiring youngsters if they can speak in English, and it doesn't matter if they're not graduate yet. So, yeah, so I just went and applied, and I got through. But I must tell you what happened between 2000 and 2004.
Yeah.
Uh, After I joined sales, I was told that there is no limit to how much you can earn in sales because the more you sell, the more incentives you get.
Hmm.
Uh, that was very, very exciting for me, and I believed it. Uh, but very soon I realized that it's not true. It's true in theory, but not in practice. Any product market combination will have an upper limit at any given point of time. You cannot sell more than what the market wants.
Hmm.
So when I realized this, it was discouraging. I was hoping that, like a naive 18-year-old, I thought my sales job will take us out of all financial trouble within a few years, but that obviously didn't happen. But when I realized that, okay, this is how things work, I started moving to more and more high value sales items. So instead of selling a 10 rupee pen, I
Hmm.
thought maybe I could sell a 10,000 rupee phone or a 15,000 rupee pager or so on and so forth.
Hmm.
So between these 4 years, I sold everything from pens to cars, uh, credit cards, mobile phones, pagers, clothes, whatever I could, any high value deal that I could get my hands on, I try and did that. But of course, all of this took a toll on my studies.
Hmm.
Very naive. I thought I could do work and computer classes and degree. I was able to do two of those three well. The degree suffered. I failed twice, both the semesters in the first year of BCA. University recommended because I was failing in technical subjects. They recommended I take up BBA instead, so I have more non-tech subjects. Made the switch and failed again for the second time, uh, and until 2004, I was not yet a graduate. But that's when the IBM opportunity came up, and I went for it.
And then how was the IBM thing then? What was the job profile? Was it again sales here?
No, it was tech support.
Hmm.
Uh, Incidentally, the computer institute where I had signed up to learn, I had become an instructor there after about a year of learning. Back in the day, people had to be taught how to use Windows and internet.
Hmm.
I'm not kidding. That's what I used to do in the institute.
Okay.
So either a morning session or an evening session at teaching people how to use the computer, HTML, CSS as well. All of those things, of course, I learned at the institute. Um, on the weekends as well, I used to take lectures there. And all of this helped me when I applied for the tech support job. Uh,
Hmm.
the IBM had a client, a UK-based ISP called Wanadu, and we were providing tech support to Wanadu's customers.
Hmm.
So my background with this institute and the tech that I knew helped me get that job.
Hmm.
That's what I was doing at IBM when I first joined.
Understood. And what were the skills that you learned in IBM?
Oh, it was a massive, massive shift. Field sales, even if you're doing it for a corporate, is a completely different culture. Your colleagues, your customers, your bosses, everyone it's a different kind of people. When you move to a desk job in a company like IBM, it's a completely different set of people. It's the difference between Bharat and India, so to say. Of course, these terms didn't exist back then.
Hmm.
I can use these today and make it relevant for you to understand. But back then we didn't see it that way. But at IBM, almost not almost well, everyone was more educated than I was. Most of them had corporate experience.
Hmm.
None of them had a background like me, so I was a total misfit.
Hmm.
Uh, but that's exactly the kind of place I wanted because that's growth, right?
Hmm.
Being in an uncomfortable situation, being a misfit,
Hmm.
uh, that's growth. at IBM, uh, it's a corporate, so things work differently. It's a structured environment. There's a different kind of discipline. There are processes to be followed. It's a massive operation, much bigger than any I'd been a part of earlier. There was so much to learn there, so much to do. So my first corporate experience, and it's had a massive impact on on my life.
And what was your age at that time?
I was 24,
24.
22, sorry, 22,
Okay, okay. So you worked there for how many years?
2 years.
2 years. And then after that, why did you decide to change that environment?
So yeah, IBM was a fantastic experience. I grew from being a tech support agent to being a trainer.
Okay.
I had one internal promotion after about a year of being an agent. So I was training new hires on the tech, the process side of things. At IBM, I also had the opportunity to learn Six Sigma.
Okay.
Uh, they had an opt-in program where you could opt in to learn Six Sigma and then apply those techniques to improve an existing process within the company. Uh, the only reason I opted in is because I had never heard of Six Sigma. I'd never even thought about processes the way we think of them now. It's, to me, to a 22-year-old at that point, coming from a sales background, field sales background, the word process was this inanimate thing, non-physical, that seemingly makes no difference. So I wanted to. So when that mail came in and when I read through it, I got so curious that just out of curiosity, I signed up for it. I learned the Six Sigma techniques. I built a project around it. My project never made the cut for implementation, but that day, that project made me realize, made me understand the process, from deep within, and made me respect it. I realized at that point that you can't scale a company without things like processes and systems. You just can't do things by,
Yeah.
by somebody's whim or fancy. That is a key learning at IBM. Just a sec.
Sure.
That is a key learning at IBM, but it was a night job rather, and that kind of took a toll on my health. I didn't see myself sustaining that for long, and uh, and I wanted to switch to something that was day daytime working. But all the other call center jobs, of course, were night shift as well. The shifts changed based on whether your client was UK based or US based, but they were all essentially night shifts. So somebody I worked with referred me to an executive search firm. Again, a completely new industry, new type of work, and fortunately, I got hired there, and that was another key pivot in my life. So yeah, that's how I moved out of IBM.
Just to bridge this gap, to understand from a tech support, you went to trainer, sorry, and then after that, you got into a place where you actually hire people in CxO roles. You judge them
Yeah,
and this.
yeah.
So when you are sitting for the interview round, what is it that they were looking for? Because you are from a different background altogether, and it's nowhere related. To be honest, I can't even imagine any relation. So just maybe let us know what the questions were and what was there or what skill you had to, judge CXO level people.
I think one thing that has helped me during that interview and throughout my life, in fact, is massive curiosity about everything. And what happens is if you're curious for the sake of just curiosity,
Hmm.
you just want to know. There's nothing else. You're not aiming at getting something out of it. You just want to know how things work. You end up becoming a very good researcher. You end up having the ability to dig, and get out that one insight, which clears the picture up. Uh, and in executive search, being a good researcher is the primary skill that's required. If you're somebody who's curious, you'll do very well in research or analysis or in search by that extension. That's one thing that helped me. The other thing that helped me was communication skills. When you do sales, field sales or any kind of sales, you learn communication. In my opinion, that was my level one. When I moved to IBM, I was doing tech support, and I was supporting international clients. So it starts with understanding accent and the differences in culture and the way they talk. And of course, I'm dealing with, in terms of my colleagues, I'm dealing with a completely different kind of person. So that was level two of my communication skills. At 3P, that was like the qualifier. But even those skills only get you an entry into the door. That don't make you a search consultant. You have to start again uh, learning communication, and not just spoken, body language and written as well, because you're dealing with CXOs every day. Every call you make is to the head of a function or a chief something officer of a large company. The reputation of your employer is in your hands every minute of every call. It's tough, not just for the people who do the job, but even for the hiring managers, because they've got to be so careful who they give that work to. Uh, so I had to again, upskill my communication skills, writing skills, listening skills, body language, uh, to be qualified to do the job. So even if you're in the job, you're still doing things to remain qualified for the job. Again, massive learning in communication, in presenting yourself, in uh, how do you talk to a CXO? What do you say? What do you not say? Uh, I have to, at 25 years old, I had to interview people twice my age. As an undergraduate search associate, I had to ask a CXO why he made a career change, why he switched from this company to that company, or why did this project that he took up failed or succeeded. That's massive. Just thinking about it is my heartbeat's rising. That's the job of a search consultant, and you've got to do it in a way where the CXO will open up and respond. Because unless you get that information, your assignment cannot move. So 3P consultants, taught me all of that. Uh, every You've got to dot every I and cross every T every time. Every report we made, we read it multiple times. Every email we sent was read multiple times. Everything was always spick and span. This kind of frustrating diligence on your work is what I thought, is what I learned at 3P. But you know what? When you're learning and doing it, it can be frustrating, but it adds immense value to you as an individual, because you reach a point where you start taking pride in your work, where you start being so confident in what you're doing, where you start, uh, where your own bar for the kind of work you do is set high. So after 3P, I can tell you that no work has left my desk unfinished or unclean or unformatted. None of my reports or emails you will ever find a grammatical mistake or a spelling error. I will not even use chat shortcuts in chats, let alone in an email. My please will always be PLEASE, even in WhatsApp. You become that kind of a person if you work for a firm like 3P consultants, or in executive search. Additionally, you've got to uh, like, if you've got to interview a CXO who's got 30, 40 years of experience, what do you ask him? To frame your questions is a task in itself. The preparation can take days, if not weeks. You've got to research the economy, you've got to research the industry, you've got to research the company you're hiring for, you've got to research the company the guy has worked for, the projects he's done, how the industry has moved over the years, the competition. You've got to understand and build an entire picture before you can make that call and ask that question. The amount of preparation that goes is massive, and that's again one thing that helped me, and still helping me tremendously. uh, Anytime I think about any job or work or anything, I start with the macro and bring it down to the micro in terms of analyzing, researching, understanding, and framing things properly. So yeah, these are some massive learnings that I had at 3P. Personally, this also helped me start my investing journey. uh, when you research so many industries and companies
Yeah.
and see so many balance sheets and profit and loss statements, you end up making a judgment of what kind of companies you want to invest your money in. So started that as well. Another massive learning at 3P was, so for every assignment you speak to at least 100 candidates. Over 4 years that I spent there, I must have spoken to several thousand. Imagine at before you turn 30, speaking to several thousand CXOs to understand how they became CEO. Imagine doing that. You know what it takes. You know what you have to do. You know how the journey is made. You can build patterns. You can connect the dots and tell that, okay, this is what it takes to achieve success in a corporate career. Uh, on the surface, there are some commonalities, like they were all from top universities, uh, they were all postgraduates. But once you remove the CV out of the picture and start talking to them, you learn about the things that are not on the profile. You learn about whether they are arrogant or humble. You learn that they are all lifelong learners. You learn that they are massively knowledgeable about their industry and some related industries. When you ask them how they spend their personal time, you learn, what is it that they do when they're not working. That that knowledge base, so to say, has provided, took me to step 4. It kind of shook me out of the environment I was in, and set me on the path towards growth. So I'm extremely grateful to that opportunity and the people who started the company. My manager there, they've had such a massive impact on my life.
Just before we move forward, I want to go back and understand you were a 25-year-old kid and you got this opportunity and
Yeah.
coming from a tech support role to this role. I just want to know, is it an opportunity that just came to you or you did something? You wanted to get inside this industry or you had some skills that they were looking for? Why were you chosen here?
So I didn't even know about the industry.
Hmm.
I had no clue that such an industry exists and this kind of work happens. Uh, so again, very lucky on this front that somebody I worked with knew somebody who was in a search firm and was willing to make a bet on somebody from a non-search background. So massively lucky and extremely grateful to those people and those opportunities. Uh, but once I saw what it was, and once I got there, I just grabbed it with both hands and did the best I could to learn as much as I could.
Got it. So after this, I think you moved to Pune. So
Yes.
what was the story behind all this? And you changed your company to something else completely. So just let us know about that.
Yeah. So three things behind my move to Pune. One girl, uh, one city, and one opportunity.
Hmm.
Uh, Very interesting how it happened. So 2006, I joined 3P, and that's when Orkut was launched. I don't know if you're aware. This is before Facebook, uh, social media
You're
platform.
not that young.
So yeah, Orkut was launched, and I had this. When I was in school, I had this crush on this girl. But immediately after school, life changed, and I didn't know where she was, and it kind of all faded away. But interestingly, she found me on Orkut, and in 2006, and she was in Pune at that time. And incidentally, my cousin was in Pune, and I had never been to Pune before that. And I used to ride. I still ride motorcycles long distance. So just to meet my cousin, I rode from Bombay to Pune one weekend, and I told her I'm coming to Pune if you want to catch up. We caught up, and 2 years later we got married. uh, and we're still together.
Oh,
Uh,
that is good.
that, yeah, so that's the girl in the story that brought me to Pune. The other thing was, so 2006 to 2008, every alternate weekend I would come to Pune to meet her and my cousin. Uh, and so I got used to, so I saw the life my cousin was having in Pune and she was having, and some of the other friends and people I met. I saw the city, I experienced it every alternate weekend, and I saw the massive difference between Mumbai and Pune. Well, Mumbai was great, and that's the city I was born and brought up in. Pune felt more aligned to the kind of person I was. Uh, it was quieter, it was calmer, and within 1 hour traveling distance, you had
Yeah.
so many beautiful mountains and rivers and dams and whatnot. Uh, and within 1 hour of where I lived in Mumbai, you had Bandra. Nothing wrong with Bandra, but it's just a part of the city. Uh, so I fell in love with Pune as well in those 2 years. And so I decided that when I do marry, I'll move to Pune. So that is the second part of the story. The third part is the opportunity. So several important things happened in 2008. One is my employer 3P decided to open an office in Pune to expand because Pune was an up and coming IT hub and lots of manufacturing companies, lots of multinational companies were setting up offices. So they said, let's start an office there. And they knew about my frequent Bombay Pune travels. So they said, would you like to, work from the Pune office? I said, love to. I mean, it's what I want. So life seemed set. This was around July, August, 2008. It seemed set that, okay, I'll go to Pune, get married, I'll have a job there. Life is great. Uh, September 2008, I was scheduled to go to Europe to represent 3P consultants in an international executive search conference. So I go there, I come back, and I learned that the Pune office idea has been shelved. Uh, this was September. November, I was scheduled to marry. And if you remember, 2008 end August, September, August is when the global financial crisis hit. So suddenly I was married, jobless, in a new city, in the middle of a global financial crisis. So from everything is great to nothing is happening in 4 months. So that was life in Jan 2009. Found myself there with no opportunities. At that time, there were no search firms in Pune. The other recruitment firms that were there weren't hiring because their clients were not hiring. The only opportunities available were with tech firms. So I had to find a way to get into one. So uh, so I got thankfully I got a short project at that time, early 2009. There was an American company that wanted to hire retired IAS officers in India to act as consultants for their foreign clients. So that was a 2 3 month project, which I did thanks to my background with 3P. I was able to do that. At the same time, I signed up for a tech writing course. It was obviously too. I'd obviously tried learning coding and it had not worked. So the only entry for me in tech was through non-tech roles. So I signed up for a tech writing course again through the campus recruitment thing. I got an offer for a small startup company that was into e-governance. Basically, they had an ERP that they were building for municipal corporations and housing boards. So I got a part-time opportunity there. I was building their brochures, writing their help docs, building a website for one of their products. So this is how I moved to part-time move to tech and full-time into that other consulting assignment. So that's how life started in Pune. That's how I moved, and that's how it started.
So then I think you joined some company known as Probity, right?
That's the one I was talking about. Probity
Uh,
Soft. Yeah.
oh, so you had such a career change from tech support to a CxO interviewing process to this now. So, and how long did you go like this with your part-time job, your project? without any?
I think it lasted for 6 months, 6 odd months.
Okay.
Uh, but fortunately, the my job with Probity turned full time
Okay.
pretty fast, and the other project anyway was nearing its end, so that kind of wound up. So I stayed with Probity and one of its associate companies, Bill Cloud, uh, from there to about I think 2020, 1920. Uh, Became full time, was heading the sales and marketing function for Probity, traveled around the country selling software to government organizations and to some private businesses as well. Uh, that was very very good for for a simple reason that for the first time in my life I felt I was making a difference to our country, that I was contributing to making our country better. You see, the software Probity was building or has built digitizes municipal corporations, digitizes their processes. It takes away all the reasons why people complain of government services.
Okay.
I'm very happy to tell you that Probity was instrumental in digitizing Pune Municipal Corporation, Pimpri Chinchwad, Thane, so many others. If people in those regions have ever paid their property tax online, or have received birth and death certificates online, or any government services online, please thank Probity for it. They are the ones behind it. We've also There are many subtle differences that we've made in government processes and how things are done internally as well as services delivered to citizens. I could talk about that all day.
But what
Uh,
was your specific role? I would want to know that.
sales.
Sales. Okay, you came back to sales
I
now.
came back to sales because tech writing or website building or any of that it doesn't consume all of your time.
Hmm.
Uh, and you know what? It's the skills I had carried forward
Yeah.
all these years were more useful here. But of course, it's not a straight fit. You still have to make modifications.
Hmm.
From talking to CxOs in companies like ABB and Siemens to selling to government officers in locations like Akola or whatever, you know, it's again a massive change which I had to go through. And I'll tell you the small things. For example, everywhere in Maharashtra and the South, government officers have a mustache.
Hmm.
If a man walks in without a mustache, he does not get respect. I am not kidding. I'll show you photos from those years. I kept a mustache, which I don't like, just so the commissioner would listen to me, just so he would give me his ear. That's all. I'll show you photos if I can from that time. I had to do it. It's so again, this insight came to me from someone. Thankfully, someone told me, boss, you want him to listen to you, please grow a mustache. It's a culture thing. They don't appreciate otherwise. So again, massive change in culture and environment with the kind of people I interacted with. But again, the one thing that kept me going was massive learning of how the government machinery actually works, and knowing that I'm making a difference to our country, helping our cities digitize, and not just the big ones. We've done it for small cities as well.
Now, I would love to know this part. So, you did your bachelor's in economics when you were 34. I don't know how, coincidentally, you did your bachelor's from 2016 to 2019. I also did my bachelor's from 2016 to 2019.
Wow.
That is great. And in economics only. So, that is
Oh,
great.
superb.
So yeah, that is the question, the big question that first of all, how does a person get so much guts to go out from all these social norms and even try for this? And why did
Mm.
you decide? Was it some educational thing or some mindset that you wanted to be?
So there were many things. One was the two failures in the early 2000s when I tried to finish them,
Hmm.
and I couldn't. Those were always back of the mind. They were there, and I always knew that I have to at some point finish this. Uh, Second is on the social norms front. For example, uh, I have always been shameless. I don't give a shit. I don't care what Sharmaji thinks. Apologies to any Sharmas in the house, by the way. I'm not talking about you, but you know what I mean, right?
Hmm.
Uh, I'll give you an example. I was in seventh grade, 13 odd years. I wanted a cycle, and I wanted a racer cycle. It was expensive. Family couldn't afford it, but yet my father, being the kind man that he is, he said, "This is the best I can do." The gap between what he gave me and what I wanted was a few $100. I knew the only way to do it is to go out and earn it. A 13-year-old boy in seventh, what does he do to earn money? I asked around shamelessly, whoever I found. One of the local milk agencies said, "I have four buildings. Nobody is willing to go and deliver milk there because there is a stray dog menace happening in that area.
Hmm.
If you take that job up, I'll give you 10 rupees per day." Said done. For the next 1.5 month, every morning I would get up at 4:30 or so, freshen up, go to the milk agency, pick up 30-40 packets of milk, go to those buildings, deliver them. Next day, collect my 10 rupees. I did this for about, I think, 40-50 odd days, collected whatever money I wanted, said bye bye to the milk agency, and bought my cycle. I don't care what people think. I'm sure people spoke behind my back कि भाटिया साहब का लड़का दूध बेच रहा है. तेरे को क्या करना है? This is what I want to do. I want that cycle. I will do whatever it bloody takes. Uh, as a kid, I used to love cars and bikes, and not just love to see them or ride them or be in them. I was curious to know how they work. I have spent hours in a garage, getting dirty, learning how things work just for the hell of it. Nobody was paying me anything. So when it comes to uh, social norms, when I, signed up for graduation once again, everybody around me, except for my family, told me, "Boss, what are you doing? It's a waste of time. तेरे को क्या मिल जाएगा? Nobody's going to give you a raise. What are you going to learn? It's all pointless. Blah 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 blah." And things used to come up because friends would say, "Come on, let's go out to Goa, let's go party," and I would say, "No, I have an exam coming. I have to study," and they would, and the routine would start. But I didn't care, and just did it. Uh, the reason I signed up again, one, of course, is I wanted to finish it. Two is I still at some point want to pursue a master's degree. Uh, Three, and this one is silly, but it applies. My son was 3 years old at that time. And one day I woke up with a nightmare where my son is telling me I will not go to college because you didn't go to college. So I said, no, 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 we can't have that. If he says I don't want to go to college for some other reason, that's fine, but I can't be the reason he's not going to college. So I said, okay, that we can't have. Let's complete this. So these are the three reasons, that I signed up. Uh, but one of the things that I realized is that the value of a 3 year or a 5 year degree is not only in what you learn or the kind of job you get or the kind of money you get after that, but it's in the grind. The 3 year, 5 year time period proves to the world that you are capable of handling the grind. You are capable of handling a long term difficult project and come out a winner on the other side. Why take IIT, IIM, or any elite university in the world? Why do they pick only a 1% of the people, or whatever 2% of the people that apply? It's not intelligence. It's those people are the hardest working people in the group that get picked, and they are made to grind again for 3 to 5 years. When they come out on the other side, companies are certain, hiring managers are certain that these people will handle challenging tasks. They will handle more grind. They have been trained for it. Why would a TCS or a Facebook or a whoever pay millions of dollars to somebody who's a fresh graduate from a top university? They know this guy can, or girl, can go through the grind and come out on top. It's proof of work. It's proof of the ability to handle stress and win. That's what these degrees do. If it was only about knowledge, you could just read the books that people are reading at IIM and acquire the knowledge. It's not about the knowledge, not only about the knowledge. It's the grind that's important. So when I did my graduation and went through the grind myself, nothing, of course, compared to the likes of an IIM, I realized my own ability to do difficult things. That was the most important learning of those 3 years. So I mean, that's, I hope that answers your question of why I did it.
Definitely. So I think coming to the next part, the next best thing that happened to you, that was GrowthX,
Oh
and
yeah,
the reason why you are here at Ditto, at the founder's office.
yeah.
So let's understand what, first of all, what does that session or that boot camp even mean? What is GrowthX? What was their purpose, and what is the opportunity that they were providing?
So GrowthX is a feeling, and all GXers will tell you this. It's difficult to explain in in simple words, uh, but I'll try my best. So at GrowthX, you learn product-led growth
Hmm.
over a 2 month period. Product-led growth is the framework or the structure of how companies like Tinder, Uber, Ola, uh, Big Basket, Amazon, Flipkart, whoever, tech companies who have tech products, how they have grown,
Hmm.
uh, to millions of users or transactions. How have they acquired users? How do they monetize? How do they engage and retain? So on and so forth. At GrowthX, you learn those structures over a 2 month period. This 2 month period is divided into 5 weeks of learning.
Hmm.
On the weekends, you learn the structures. During the week, you complete assignments on what you've learned, and during the final 3 weeks of GrowthX, you do a capstone project. So, which is basically similar to something you do in a university, where you use everything that you've learned to build a growth strategy or solve a growth problem for a real product that
Hmm.
exists in the market. And so that's how the 8 weeks are culminated. That's GrowthX for you. The sessions are online. They are not video sessions. They're live sessions, but they're online.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get the, like, were you working at that time or just passed out from your econ and then you joined GrowthX? While how did you find GrowthX?
No, no, I was working. This was last year.
Okay.
I was working at Probity, and so one of my clients' uh, brother
Hmm.
started a company and was looking for a sales guy.
Hmm.
He referred me. We had a series of discussions, and I did some assignments for him. And then he said, "I'm willing to offer you a product marketer role." And I said, "Hold on, what is product marketer?" I have no clue what that is. I've never done it, and why are you offering me this role?
Hmm.
So he said, "Don't worry about the skills. I think you can handle it. I'll send you a link. Just sign up to that. If you get in, they will teach you the skills you need. Even if you don't get in, don't worry. We'll figure it out later." That link was GrowthX.
Okay.
So I went in, signed up. They have a 8% acceptance rate
Okay.
at GrowthX. Yeah. So went, signed up, underwent the interview process and made it.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's how I found GrowthX and started. And again, the massive curiosity took over me. The moment I saw GrowthX and read the website and curriculum, I no longer cared about the job or anything else. I just wanted to learn product-led marketing now, product-led growth now.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's how I started at GrowthX.
Okay. And what was your major learning from this?
Oh, massive, massive learning. Of course, one is product-led growth. The second key learning is using a framework-led approach to problem solving.
Hmm.
Uh, at GrowthX or any of these massively successful companies that we see, uh, they don't just solve problems by saying, "Let's try this. मुझे लगता है this will work."
Hmm.
That's not how things work. There is a very, very structured approach at asking the right questions, defining the correct problem, measuring how big or small the problem is, and there are detailed frameworks on how you solve those and get to where you get. So that was one. Another was, once again, at GrowthX, I learned more about communication. So from my sales, time when that was communication level one, IBM was two, 3P was four, ProBT was five, GrowthX took it to seven. So much focus on clarity, lot of focus on articulation. I can bet you if there are GXers listening right now, they're laughing at the word articulation. uh, so important, so important to clearly articulate everything well, whether it's the problem statement or the solution. This is something. This was a massive takeaway for me from GX. Uh, Proof of work, once again, is another massive takeaway from GrowthX. Every time you learn something, it's so often. I'm sure people who read books will relate with me. So often you read a book that is massive, that has superb, ideas about how things can change, but you never implement them. The moment you finish one book, you move to the another, and the implementation goes for a toss. Uh, at GrowthX, that doesn't happen. The moment you finish one topic, you're expected to implement it, submit an assignment, get feedback, so on and so forth. So that structure of how to actually learn things in a way that you can use them is something that was very powerful, that I learned at GrowthX. Uh, Finally, the one more massive learning that I had is that perseverance is massively underrated. Uh, you can outwork anyone in the world. Doesn't matter how intelligent or what the other person is. If you're willing to put in the hours, you can outwork anyone. That I personally experienced at GrowthX for the first time in my life. So yeah, these were the learnings
So
from
from
from.
here, how did you get the opportunity to work at Ditto? I'm sure.
Uh, One interesting story after another.
Are you tired of this?
No, no, not at all. I'll never get tired of this telling these stories. Uh, so yeah, so the Capstone project. So 5 weeks of doing assignments,
Mm.
and again I was the quintessential underdog there. I had zero background in the kind of work that the kind of things that happen at GrowthX. There were many others who had background, and I used to be in awe of the work they did. I used to spend more time reading their assignments than doing my own. Uh, but when the capstone came, so there are 200 people in every cohort. So it's cohort based learning. Every 2 months, 300 people in every cohort. So at when I did this, there were 130 odd people. At the end of 5 weeks, we were divided into teams of five or six each. So there were 21 teams, and we had to do the capstone project. I was appointed as the captain of my team, and that hit me like a storm. I had a massive imposter syndrome when I heard that I was to captain this team of really talented people. Uh, I had one member in the team had a master's in user behavior, consumer behavior research. One was from IIM, one was a serial entrepreneur, and one was a very successful techie. And I was to lead them in Capstone. Major imposter syndrome. So of the 3 weeks that we were given to finish the capstone, I must have spent the first week or so just dealing with the imposter syndrome. But fortunately, I got through, and in the final 2 weeks, we were able to deliver the project. How this works is 21 teams work on the project. Uh, Five or six are selected based on the strategy they've built and the work they've done. Of those, three go to demo day. Demo day is when your entire GrowthX experience ends. On demo day, it's a live event attended by 1,000+ people, and there are five panelists, eminent names from the industry, who give you feedback. You present to everyone; they give you feedback on your work. So uh, when I was applying for GrowthX, there was a demo day that was going on during that period. So I attended the demo day of GrowthX sixth cohort, and I was massively impressed with the feedback that the panelists gave to the teams. The work the teams have done was anyway very impressive, but the feedback was even more. So insightful, so deep, so valuable. And I remember very distinctively that on that day, GX6 demo day, I had a deep desire that one day I want feedback like this. I want, eminent personalities from the industry to look at my work and say what I've done wrong or right. That was my only desire. So anyway, coming back to our capstone project, we did the capstone, uh, complete underdogs, but made it to top six. Then we worked on our presentation and the delivery skills. Uh, Thankfully, made it to top three, landed a demo day spot, and I was there. We presented to 1,000 people, and uh, five top people from the industry gave me feedback for our work, and my dream was finally, true. And I thought that was it. I've learned, I've received feedback from some really smart people. Life is great. Uh, but somebody in the audience was somebody in the audience when I was presenting, my strategy, was from Ditto Insurance. They saw this and reached out to the founders and the marketing team and said, "You must see this presentation and you must meet this guy." And so in weeks following my demo day, I had the opportunity to present our growth strategy to the entire management team of Ditto. And oh, by the way, I'm sorry if I didn't mention, but my capstone was on Ditto Insurance.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, we'd build a growth strategy for Ditto.
okay.
Uh, so yeah, I presented that to the team at Ditto. The entire management team was there, head of marketing was there, HR was there, uh, and more than the strategy, I think they liked me. And in weeks following that presentation, we had a discussion. They made me an offer, and here I am today. So that's how Ditto happened.
I actually had a lot of questions regarding mindset, regarding whatever you have done, but I think you have answered a lot of them within your journey itself. I saw that. But what I really want to understand, your story is so different than whoever I bring on this platform till date, I have brought till date. So those people have some structure, they have some technical knowledge or skill set, and you can understand why they are there, the reason they are backed by something, they have worked hard in some college or school days. But with your story, it feels like you're a fighter who is continuously has had his ups and lows and everything, but dealt with it within whatever happened with you. What I want to understand is when you say people like you, so what does that even like? How do you explain that? That how to become a character who is likable by all, and because the way you were chosen also for this, you must have worked very hard for GrowthX, this Capstone project, for sure. But it was an opportunity, and the way things happened, the way they liked you. I want to understand: is it communication skills? Is it something else? Because nowadays, if you see the resume, when HRs write, we want to hire for this role, necessity, eligibility, bachelors of this, or they have some criterias. But nothing like that happened. You were always hired through reference. You were interviewed and you cracked it. You were in top 10%, 8% of everything. So, what is it that you had? What is the skill that was required?
Uh, See, I think, uh, you know, one is I have massive curiosity.
Yeah.
I just want to learn why, how things happen, why things happen, what really goes on behind the scenes. That curiosity leads you to keep learning, always. Uh, and so in my free time, I'm reading books. You know, that it's that way. Additionally, I have a massive desire to add value. with whatever I've learned. If I've learned something, I want to use it to bring value to whoever it is. Uh, Third, again, it's my opinion. I don't know if I may be wrong. Is my shamelessness. I still don't care about Sharmaji things. Uh, if I want to do it, I'll do it. So many times people have given me, feedback, and so even now, my own family sometimes reminds me of how I did things wrong. But it doesn't matter. So long as I know I'm adding value to the situation that I'm in, I don't care. I think that's what life is about. You learn and you add value to the situation, whether it be an employer, a friendship, a learning environment, anything. Uh,
And you still have no idea
Finally,
about coding, right?
HTML, CSS. That's even that I've forgotten now. It's been 20 years. Uh, Finally, I think the one thing that I know for certain it makes a difference in my life is I don't limit myself. Uh, I never say I can't do this or do that. I might prioritize one thing over another. I might say that I can't do this right now because I have this other thing to do, but uh, I'll never limit myself by saying that ये मुझसे नहीं होगा. Whatever it takes. For the worst, what is the worst that'll happen? I'll fail, right? What else? I'll still learn something. I'll still learn. Okay, like I learned I can't code. I learned that about myself. Uh, I think that is it. Don't limit yourself. Uh, that's my key takeaway. That's how I got where I got.
And before we go to the Q&A session, just the last question.
Sure.
So, what do you think about your goal or motivation at this stage of your life?
Uh, One thing I want to do is pay it forward. I have, you know, I'm 100% cognizant of the fact that I have been extremely lucky in the sense that I had right kind of people with me to support me, to guide me, to refer me, to help me, uh, you know, to pick me up when I failed. Uh, Again, massive opportunities as well that I got. You know, 3P consultants, Probity Soft, maybe small, unheard of companies, but those places contribute in a massive way to your learning. If you think about it deeply, I have no illusions about my effort being bigger than my luck or anything. I think I've been very lucky, very fortunate to have good people in my life who've helped me. And from what I want to do now is pay it forward. I know that there will be people out there today and in the future who will be struggling for lack of resources or whatever else. I want to be the one that guides them. I want to be the one that tells them, look, there are no limits. Just because you don't have money or a degree doesn't mean you can't succeed. You can still succeed. I'll tell you how. That's my goal now.
I guess whoever is listening today are in that need only. So please contact Jayesh
Sure,
if you
sure.
need any help. I think he'll be,
Happy to help.
yes, happy to help. So moving forward, we understood your journey, your motivation, your goals. Let's see what people have to ask you.
Sure, sure.
So our first question by Viral is, Hi Jayesh.
Hi, Viral.
He's saying, I have just finished my master's and now looking for a job. This is basically my second innings, you can say, as I decided to go for master's after 12 years of insurance experience. But I feel I'm too old to fit in the hierarchy of the organization now. And this is quite demotivating now. Any suggestions for me?
Uh, I don't know what you mean by too old. Look, in Probity, I was the youngest employee, and at Ditto, I'm the oldest. And I really don't know what age has to do with either. Uh, in fact, my wife jokes about uh, why Ditto hired me. She says, all these young folks must have said, "घर में कोई बुजुर्ग होना चाहिए." So they hired you. but uh, but anyway, it's age has nothing to do with it. Viral, you all you have to think about and all you have to prove is what is the value you can add to the organization. Every organization out there is dealing with a massive amount of challenges in the market. The challenges could be around growth, could be fundraising, could be efficiency, could be anything. Uh, just just be out there and tell them what value you can add, how you can solve those problems. Proof of work will win over everything else always. You can ignore age, you can ignore everything else. Proof of work, adding value, two keywords. That's all you need.
I guess that will be helpful. So the next question is by Shekhar. He's saying your journey is inspiring for sure. Myself, Shekhar, I want to ask you if it's okay to do a master's at 25 as a socially maybe is it okay?
Yeah. But don't socially क्या होता है मतलब it's your journey. Look, don't even think about uh, society. This is your life. You were not born to please the society. Why are you even considering them? Uh, I'm going to do masters after 40. I don't care what people think. Uh, just go out and do it. In fact, uh, having experienced, career, education, all of this, I can, if I have to recommend to youngsters, I would say finish graduation, get a job for a few years, then do a master's. You will see the value of what you learn in the master's so much more clearly after spending a few years in a job compared to if you went directly from graduation to masters and then job. This is my recommendation to people. Do a master's after a few years. So, Shekhar, don't worry about society, this, that. Sharma ji ko ignore karo or MBA karo. Please go ahead.
Our next question is from Twinkle. In today's world and seeing other peers, I feel late to start post graduation degree at 26. Will there be any opportunities for me as compared to postgraduates done with masters at 22 itself?
Yeah. 22, 26. What's the difference? Nothing. It's, and again, the opportunities exist for people who add value. Can you solve a problem for an employer? Any company? Can you Okay, here's an example. Here's a story. It's a real story. I can introduce you to the guy later if you want. A 22-year-old writes to CoinDCX CEO. The subject line says, CoinDCX valuation is $1 billion. That's the subject line. Inside the body of the mail, he writes, he details out how he will help CoinDCX get to $1 billion in valuation. The guy was hired. The CEO called him for an interview and hired the guy. And he didn't have an MBA from any institute. And he was 21, 22 years old. He worked there for 2 years. I can introduce you to the guy. Look up Bhavya on GrowthX. He's the one I'm talking about. Can you add value? Can you solve a problem that a company is facing? That's all there is to it. You will get hired. Don't worry about age. If you want to do a master's, the only reason you should do a master's is to, one is knowledge, and second is to subject yourself to the grind. Those are the only two reasons to do a master's degree or a bachelor's degree.
Okay, I think that is very helpful. We don't think in that way. You know, these stories that this Bhavesh is talking to this person, these become viral most probably. But we still look up to people doing IIMs and IITs and them BCG and all those people, consultancy firms coming to them and asking for a job. We don't go out of our way and just go and approach it in a different way. Value addition, it's a damn good and insightful
Yeah.
thing to think about. So I think the last question is that people in a lifetime, they don't jump across from one standard of living to another. What I'm trying to say is maybe a poor person stays poor throughout his life. Maybe he earned more because of inflation happening, whatever happened like that. But there are very rare people who actually jump across from a middle class family to a upper middle class family, or from an upper middle class family to a high net worth. So what I want to know is your story is somewhat like that. When you started with your 12th grade, when you said that you got to know that these are the things, the issues that you had in your family, and then you went on and took decisions as per that, and many opportunities came. So what is the one maybe a mindset question. What is the one mindset that people should keep with themselves? Not to lose hope, just to jump across. They can do that without, breaking the middle class
Yeah,
attitude, basically.
yeah, yeah.
What is it that you need for that?
In my observation, and you're right, I've noticed people, staying a certain level
Yeah.
throughout their life. Uh, in my opinion, the reason for that is they limit themselves.
Hmm.
Uh, while this is a, you could say it's a philosophical thing, but it's not. It's very practical. They limit themselves by saying things like, I can't read books because I don't understand. English is very high level. I don't understand. Then go first learn high level English. Maybe it'll take too time. It'll take too long. In what else are you doing anyway? Why are you limiting yourself? If others are limiting you, which society does anyway, I can understand that. Why are you saying I can't do this? I can't do that. I'm not capable. I'm not. That the mindset, that's the mindset which stops people from changing their orbits. It's possible. I'm not the only one who's done it. I'm not the first one who's done it. I'll not be the last one who's done it. Millions of people across the world have done it. I have learned from them. I have been inspired from their stories. I've read hundreds of books and stories where this has happened. You can do it too. Just don't limit yourself. Don't stop yourself. That's all I would. That's, I think, is the critical difference uh, between changing the orbit.
Great. I think on that note, I think that's a perfect finisher for this session. On that note, I would like to end our webinar for today. I
Sure.
hope everyone understood something, and thank you so much, Jayesh, for sharing your insights.
Thank
Not
you.
copy pasting some lines, but it was it was truly really different, unique, and some value added, adding material or insights from you. It really added some value in my life, at least. So I'm going to talk for myself. I hope it did add some value to your life as a guest. So thank you so much, Jayesh, for sharing your personal life, your professional life, and everything about whatever you learned or experienced.
Thank you, Sanandini, and thank you to all the audience as well. I hope I've been able to add value, make a difference in your life. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.